The Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com, 11 locations across New England.
Can we just fast forward to the 2024 NBA Finals? Would it be too presumptuous to just assume Celtics Nuggets, another showdown, 7 games, however many we can squeeze out of that matchup? Maybe I'm just deflecting here. Maybe I just don't want to talk about another Celtics loss, all the little things that went wrong, that Jason Tatum miss with 40 seconds to go. What's up, everybody? POSTGAME POD 62, coming to you after the Denver Nuggets take down the Celtics 115-109 out at Ball Arena. The rematch lived up to the hype, even though Denver dominated, and dominated might be a strong word, but they controlled much of the night, building a double-digit lead at various times. The Celtics do make a late charge. Alas, it ends with Jason Tatum missing a corner three-pointer with 40 seconds to go with a chance to put Boston out front. Continues a kind of miserable week for poor Tatum, who is not launching into the year 26 of existence in the most positive way, but the rest of the Celtics can shoulder some blame here too. Not a very crisp effort from Boston, especially in the first half. Most of their 12 turnovers coming in that first half. They only had 2 of the last meeting with Denver. They gave up 2 buzzer beaters in the first half, end of each quarter. Just points you just should not be giving away in those instances. A 30-footer, I think, for Jamal Murray at the end of the first quarter. 9 missed free throws in this game. What felt like a billion missed three-pointers, 28.9% overall. Even worse, the Celtics lost the non-Jokic minutes, getting outscored by 3 when the MVP, and yes, he is now definitively, just shipped the trophy to Denver. They are able to outscore Boston in those minutes with him on the bench. And so a brilliant night from Jaylen Brown, spoiled as the Celtics lose consecutive games for the first time since early November. It's a testament to how good the Celtics have been that they've avoided that feat, having not dropped consecutive games. But I think that's also the most maddening part about tonight is that you thought the Celtics would come in just laser focused, maybe a little amped for the matchup, and you could expect some hiccups along the way. But Tatum had some really bad turnovers during the first half of this game, really sloppy, could not get going offensively. Made a couple early threes, and it kind of felt like maybe this would be a night. He doesn't usually have it going in the first quarter. Usually defers to Jaylen Brown, but Jaylen, even with a bad back, is the one that carries this team and could not help the Celtics save themselves from themselves. For me, it just comes back to the details. There's just a level of play you have to play with. I said in our pregame show tonight, like, you have to play with championship poise against the Denver Nuggets. Now, Denver wasn't perfect, but man, whenever they needed a bucket, it just felt like ball foul Jokic, and off he went to work, and really took advantage of the matchup with Kristaps Porzingis at times in that fourth quarter and throughout the game. Even when he did miss, you had Aaron Gordon seemingly swooping in. I think it was Tatum who missed the box out at one key spot. And, look, that's what Jokic does to you. He puts you in rotation and gets you moving, sending help, and then the Nuggets are able to take advantage. But the Celtics will look at this game film, and much like they did after that game in Boston, they will kick themselves because there was no shortage of opportunities. And if they don't miss 9 free throws, if they make a couple more three-pointers, so it would be easy to explain it away and say, well, you can look at the margins of this game, and in a vacuum, the Celtics should win, and they've shown well against the Nuggets. But I just don't think you can look at it that way. I think you have to find motivation in the fact that you just haven't been up fully to the challenge of these games. Look, 2 very good, entertaining, back and forth sort of battles, with each team sort of having their moments. The fact that, Drew Holiday nearly shot you right back into this thing tonight when it felt like it was over. But the Celtics just couldn't make the play to get over the hump. sequence late, right before Tatum misses the three-pointer. The Jaylen Brown forces the turnover, gets him in transition. Tatum throws a lob that if it's just a little bit better, maybe Jaylen Brown's able to go up and dunk it over Nikola Jokic. Derek White makes just a brilliant play when the alley-oop fizzles and gets the ball to Tatum in the corner. Just felt like you had to have it in that moment. It's a shot you either need to make or you need to get points somehow. And it let Denver off the hook a little bit, and they made sure to get to the finish line of this win. I thought this might be a week, especially considering how loudly it started with the lopsided win over the Golden State Warriors, that Tatum could potentially carve out a little chaos in the MVP chase. As good as Jokic has been and as prohibitive as a favorite as he has seemed, the Celtics' big lead in the East, coupled with the way they were dominating teams, the Warriors chief among them, felt like if they had come in with all that momentum and maybe dominated this game, all of a sudden the balloting starts to shift a little bit. People start giving a lot more credit to the best player on the best team. But Tatum surely has not shown himself well the last two games. Chief among them is the struggles in the crunch time in the final minute, another missed opportunity for a go-ahead bucket, and he will find himself sort of in the spotlight moving forward. And all the questions about, is he one of the top players in the NBA will bubble up. And it's an overreaction for sure. He's done it on the playoff stage. The body of work suggests he is right there. But he really needed to shine this week, I thought, in order to make a late push, even if it was just to maybe leapfrog SGA for that second spot or get into the top three, however you want to look at it. And now I think, obviously it'll fade a little bit, and maybe he'll have some big games at the finish line of the season here and a couple of Bucks games to show what he can do. But Jokic, just send the trophy to Denver because he is fantastic, and in games like this are a reminder of just how impactful he is. It's not even just what he does and the triple-double and the 58 points, rebounds, assists. It's the way that you can't even leave his body on a pick and roll or a screen or anything because you're so fearful that he's either going to roll free to the basket or he's going to touch pass it to somebody or just throw an alley-oop to Crashing Gordon. And so he's just so good. And he makes that team just such a juggernaut. Like I said, I think the Celtics would relish the opportunity. And I will sit here knowing that there's not a whole lot they can show over these final 20 games and yearn for us to be able to hit the fast forward button and get part 3 of this, what could be a 9-part series this year. I don't know if our hearts can take that in June. But the level of basketball that has been shown in these two games has been really endearing. And even though the Celtics did make a lot of miscues in both games, or, miscues in this one and missed opportunities maybe in the first meeting, I think we would all love to see a showdown between these two teams who have distinguished themselves, especially as, the cat injury in Minnesota, now that, going to probably hinder their ability to stay relevant at the top of the West. We'll see what OKC can do as a young team, but it just feels like it's right there for Denver with their experience, with their veteran players to sort of steamroll their way. And we'll see if the Celtics can dust themselves off. They've given themselves the luxury of this misstep with how good they've been, and yet they've got to get back and refocus, recenter, find a way to avoid some of the mistakes that have plagued them against top teams in the West. Loss does not hinder what I think about their championship hopes, and this whole conversation is built around the idea that I think they could be right there in the finals, and that with a little bit more focus and a little bit more shot making, they can beat this Denver team. But these two games showed me that there's just a little level that you gotta crank it up a little bit. That as good as they've been, in order to compete with a team like this that has been there, You got to be ready for their physicality. You got to be ready for that matchup. You got to be ready when things go sideways for a couple minutes to shut off that hose. And the Celtics just were not up to it tonight. They just were not quite locked in enough as the missed free throws, as the buzzer beaters, as all that shows. But let's hope that we're right back here saying, hey, weren't we talking about this in March? When we're maybe talking about this in June. Here's some more from our post-game show.
The Celtics falling to the Denver Nuggets 115-109. And Eddie, a very physical matchup, just like it was back in January between both of these two teams, going back and forth in this matchup. Eddie, what's your overall takeaway after seeing these two teams go at it?
Denver's damn good. That's a damn good basketball team, yep. And they can beat you up in a different, so many different ways. Jokic at the end stepped up, whether it was with a scoring or making the right play, making the right pass. But it's one of those games, a make shot here, take care of the basketball there, and you got a W. But when you're playing the best of the best, you're playing the defending champs. I mean, if you look at all the numbers and all the margins, they're right there, and it's just one or two plays, just the attention to detail. Aaron Gordon dunk, and Aaron Gordon twice, at the end of the game. And so it's just the small margins and the small attention to detail. I think Drew Holiday did a fantastic job of stepping up and knocking down threes. And they did a good job of controlling Jamal Murray at the end of the game. It really wasn't Jamal Murray, the guy that was killing us like it was in the first game. I thought they did a really good job of that. But the takeaway is when you play in a great team, these are how these games go. And it could be one play or two plays that end up having you on the short end of the stick. I think that at the end of it all, right, this is a good learning experience. Like, not that game against Cleveland. These type of games, to me, is a good learning. It's not when you blow big leads or anything like that, but when you lose a game like this, like the free throw discrepancy, right? We shot 64% from the free throw line. We got to the free throw line 25 times. We just didn't make our free throws. Well, they went 22 times. They went 21 out of 22. They made their free throws. Their fast break points. They pushed the ball when they got opportunities. They ran at us when we was thinking that we should be running at them. So you got to give credit to a championship caliber team. This is what championship basketball looks like. This is what high level basketball looks like. And you hate to see the Celtics on the losing end, but that was one hell of a basketball game to watch.
Let's bring in Drew Carter right now, who's live from Denver. And Drew, let's circle back to that play. Jason Tatum wide open in the corner to get the three, to get the Celtics really within striking distance of this Denver Nuggets team. What was your reaction to him not making that shot, especially because of the conversations we've been having about the Celtics in crunch time?
Well, first of all, I'm going to spread out here because Scal's not with me. It's the first time I've been solo on the post-game show, so I got plenty of room. Scal's off to catch his flight. But, yeah, I'm glad we're talking about that because, I think it's easy to forget about the good looks a team gets when they lose. That shot was for the lead. I mean, I couldn't even tell you the last time the Celtics had the lead until that. I remember we're sitting right here. I'm standing up, and I'm yelling for the lead, and I could have sworn that thing was going to drop because the Celtics, everything was going right for them. Credit D. White for making a great pass. Such a good look for Tatum. I thought he played a pretty good game, a pretty balanced game where he wasn't forcing it. He was letting it come to him. I think he was mature all night, and he finally got a really good look at it, and sometimes they go in and sometimes they don't. And I think, each of these last two games, I know it's our job to analyze it and read into it, and people are going to be talking about it on the radio and writing about it in the newspaper and on their blog. Sometimes the shots go in and sometimes they don't. Now, free throws, that's unacceptable, and I think anyone on the team would tell you that. Defensively, though, I thought pretty good job against Jokic and Murray. Those are tough shots those guys were hitting. And then at the end of the day, you got a chance to take the lead with under a minute left. Go back to the Cleveland game, guys. The Celtics missed their last 8 shots and the Cavs made their last 8 or something like that. Sometimes that's what it comes down to. And tonight they had a chance to take the lead, and I think they deserve a lot of credit for that comeback. Eddie,
a lot of people will look and say that this is a make-miss league. However, we're talking about Jason Tatum. And although he did have an off night where he had 5 turnovers, only 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 8 assists, you take a look at a guy like Jason Tatum taking a wide open 3. Eddie, I feel like you got to make that shot.
Yeah, you want him to make that shot, but we'll live with that. I'll live with the best player on the team getting that wide open shot. Now, he does got to he has to start making those type of shots in those type of situations, right? I would see that's probably the one thing that if anybody wants to nitpick at Jason Tatum's game, that's the one thing that somebody could possibly say is like, yeah, in the last seconds, he might not deliver, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it doesn't come down to that, you know what I mean? Like when we break the game down, if you really break it down, and I would put my coaching hat on, it's a million things that we could talk about. The free throws, that's number one that we could talk about. Putting them on the line and knowing that they're a good free throw shooting team. Not, losing sight of Aaron Gordon, knowing that he's going to be around the basket all the time. Like, that's a guy you got to make sure that you always keep in contact with. You can't lose contact. You can't lose sight with him. So it's a million things that we could break down when you want to say this game. But at the end of the day, you know, I'll live with that shot. I'll take that shot 10 out of 10 times, a wide open corner three for Jason Tatum.
Denver, they sweep the season series against the Celtics. Drew, just watching how both these teams match up throughout this entire regular season, does that make you reconsider or maybe put into context just what the Celtics could be up against down the line?
Well, I just want to real quick just to wrap up the thought on Tatum. I'm totally with Eddie. I mean, you get that look, you take it 10 times out of 10. What would bother me more, honestly, if I were coaching or if I were Tatum himself, is the fact that Gordon had that backbreaker from the low dunker, where I think Tatum was probably the guy who should have cracked him. That's a mental error. Missing a shot, it happens, right? And if you look at the numbers, Jason Tatum in the last minute of a game on potential go-ahead or game-time baskets has not been very good. But to me, that's just a small sample size thing. I think the guy has proven that he has a clutch gene in the biggest games he's played in his career.
I think kind of what Jared was talking about is his ability to get the ball in the paint, and with the shooting and the spacing that they have and the offensive rebounding presence that Gordon brings, it puts you in a bind in a close game as to what you're willing to give up with. I thought our guys did a great job kind of changing matchups there a little bit and changing the coverage. We got a couple stops. We had a chance to take the lead with 40 seconds left. It was a one-possession game. And we had a wide-open shot. It was a great shot. And we just didn't make it. And they even gave us an open one with, I think 12 seconds left, down 4. Gave us a wide-open 3 there. And so we had our chances. And, when you play against another good team, those things get magnified.
How tough is it to contain Jokic when he's kind of scoring at the rim, also just throwing it in the air, and Gordon's catching it? It just seems like he had his bag tonight.
He was definitely in his bag tonight. He's just an incredible basketball player. Some things I learned from him today, actually. He's just so smart, so crafty, so many things that you don't see that he does on the floor that helps that team win. It's incredible. And yeah, whenever you overhelp just a little bit, he'll find Gordon, he'll find all these guys, and it just speaks of how valuable he is for them and what he does for them. So really, really, really hard to stop.
When you say you learned something, what example of what you learned from him tonight?
A couple of tricks that he does. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
How was you guys' approach tonight? Did you guys play, especially after Cleveland, did you guys play with the passion, the execution that you wanted, or how did you feel like you played?
Can you repeat the question, please?
How did you feel like you played in terms of the execution after coming off the Cleveland loss?
I think, JB was carrying us today a little bit. We weren't playing our best basketball, in my opinion. We weren't shooting our average percentages today. JB was really, keeping us in the game, and he was playing really well. Just shots didn't fall, and I thought we had good looks towards the end also. Drew had a good look again. He already hit a couple. DY got a decent look in a corner, so that's all we can ask for, and I had a few great looks that I just left short, so our shooting wasn't the best today, but there's other things that we can clean up for sure. And one of them is turnovers. We had too many turnovers, unforced turnovers from our side, and they only had, I think, 4. So that's a big difference. I think we had 11 or 13. So that's a big difference, and that's something we could definitely clean up.
Was that their defense?
A little bit, of course, you have to give them credit. They had a good game plan, and they were taking some things away. They were like really quick to rotate, right? So when I was getting the ball, either on the rolls or on the pops, they were already kind of just going through my hands, going through the pass. So they were really good at that. And going forward, we have to be a step ahead of them. Look at that pass, but just throw the next one right away, just straight to it, because they're like over rotating already. And yeah, those were 3-4 of those, and a couple in the post. Just JT dribbled off his foot one time. I got the ball taken away from me. It's like a little bit uncharacteristic for us. So if we clean that up, we should be fine.
Yeah, you guys seem pretty confident after the loss in Boston. Do you feel that way after this and the matchup?
I mean, of course, we wanted to, more like this was a big game. We wanted to win this one. It stings real bad, but I like that there's a big margin that we can improve, from this game, and not always going to go your way, of course. And you're not going to have perfect games, but there's what I like is that there's a margin for us to get better, to play better, and yeah, it's possible that we hope to see him again.
You guys have been talking about how you were motivated to get better, but it's when you're so far top of the league, it's hard to stay motivated. So knowing that the Nuggets have had your number all year and you could see them in the finals, what does that do for this team?
I don't like this, that they have our number. I don't like that kind of phrase. They beat us a couple times. The margin of who wins and who loses is so small, and they beat us at home. Hats off to them, and they did beat us at their own home. So. It's very small. It could have went our way, and we're having a completely different. And you're saying, oh, you guys look like they have Denver's number, So it could go both ways. And I like that we have this loss in a regular season. It stings. It has to sting, and we have to learn and we have to improve, and also some mental things that we could take from this game. We had some emotional plays that we're not going to allow to happen in the playoffs. Some technicals that we don't need completely, and those are things that we'll take away from this game and bounce back.
What allowed you to get going the way that you were able to early on and then all the way through?
Just being aggressive, just picking my spots, and that's it.
Did the back affect you much out there? Where you got into the rhythm and kind of didn't think about it?
Yeah, before the game, my back was pretty sore, but to be honest, once I got in the game and adrenaline kind of kept going, kind of really didn't feel too much. Started getting sore towards the second half, but outside of that, the crowd, the adrenaline, all the pain and stuff goes away.
What do you take from a game like this? A tough loss. I mean, anger. You guys missing free throws, missing opportunities. What do you take away from this?
Just too many mistakes. Against a good team, we got to take advantage. Turnovers, free throws, just missing the defensive assignments. All of that stuff we got to be better at. And it starts with me, starts with the top, starts with Jason. And we made too many mistakes, and it cost us the game.
Did you get in your head a little bit at the line?
No, I felt good. I got up there, shot it. Felt, rhythm. Sometimes it's a little short, maybe the elevation, but I felt fine shooting the ball. And I'll get up there and shoot it the same way. Just got to make sure that we take advantage of those opportunities. So I'll be better.
What was their defense doing to take Jason out of the game?
I'm not sure. I think they were just trying to, break his rhythm a little bit, not allow him to get going, make him settle for, some isolation shots, not allow him to get going. And that's why, we got to find different spots to help him out. But also, when you do get those opportunities, you got to be more aggressive. Transition opportunities, when they do get the mismatches, you got to go right away, and stuff like that.
You were a huge part of helping at the rim off of Gordon onto Jokic. How hard is it making that read, knowing what they're trying to do with the lob to AG?
Yeah, and Jokic is just a monster down there. So, we threw some different coverages at him. We guarded him one-on-one, and we tried to have late help and stuff like that.
I feel like I should have guarded Jokic a little more. I wish I would have had those opportunities a little bit. I could keep him away from the basket, and we could have took away some of those layups they got. But I feel like, we still had every chance to win this game. We just came up short.
All right, we're right back here with you on Saturday when the Celtics road trip takes them down to Phoenix. Stop number 3 on this trip. Celtics really need to get into another gear. We'll see who the Suns have out there. Chance Devin Booker could be back for that game. I believe Bradley Beal is still sidelined, but Kevin Durant is out there. Kind of a weird season for the Phoenix Suns with all the injuries. We know what their potential is when healthy, but obviously maybe an opportunity while they're still a little dinged up for the Celtics to get feeling better about themselves. And let's face it, the Celtics need to get a win here because you start looking ahead and Monday, Tuesday, a back-to-back. It's kind of a daunting travel back-to-back, having to go up to Portland and back to Utah. And it feels like every time poor teams end up in Utah, they rest everybody. I do suspect not only beyond Porzingis, Horford resting on one night of the back-to-back apiece, that others will probably catch some rest in there. We'll see how Jaylen's back responds to literally carrying the team through tonight's game. Could add a layer of complication as the Celtics look to get back on the winning track. We'll be here with you. Go like, subscribe, check us out on the YouTube page. We'll catch you on Saturday night on the Celtics Talk Podcast.